I think it would be a big fight, but I don't think it would be as big as a fight between Errol Spence and the Manny Pacquiao, for example. You know.
Why?
As far as the Fox platform, I mean, there was tons and tons of advertising. From what I'm hearing, there was great sales on the pay-per-view from the early numbers. How satisfied were you in regards to the advertising as well as in the future? Do we expect Fox to be a major player as far as the pay-per-view platform with a lot of the PBC fighters?
Well, I think the biggest story in sport in 2019 is not the emergence of these premium, of these subscription platforms. The fact, the biggest is that Fox entering the pay-per-view business and Fox entering the boxing market the way they have done. They were not just like tiptoeing their toes in the water. No, they jumped head on, full in. And we've seen that in this promotion, and I think the way they look at it, the ratings they are getting are very strong for the boxing telecast, for their shoulder programming. So they're excited because they see a return. And I think when they're going to see the return from this pay-per-view, which early on it looks extremely strong, they have done a terrific job. And to have a free over-the-air network promoting, marketing a pay-per-view is historic, and that was the first one. And I think there are going to be many, I know there are going to be many more to come. They've done a terrific job.
Richard, I imagine Mikey would want to come back, fight after this, but when that's finished, do you think we could get a Lomachenko Garcia fight going forward?
Well, you know, we'll have to see with Mikey. I think that's a question you're going to need to ask him, but I just want to say, Mikey really, man, the guy showed balls. I mean, this is like, you know, one of those situations where you go and not just in boxing, in any walk of life, you go and reach for the stars, you dare to be great, but you have to try because you never know what happens if you don't try. And he tried, and he came up short, but he tried, and because of that, I think he is Mikey and will always be Mikey, always be a 4-division world champion, and I think he has a tremendous and bright career ahead of him. Tonight it didn't go his way, but he's the kind of fighter we all want to see again because he's exciting and he goes for it.
Richard, you said that you thought the Pacquiao Spence fight would be bigger than Spence Crawford. Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, because Pacquiao is bigger than Crawford. I mean, Pacquiao is a pay-per-view star, and so is Spence now. He's pound for pound the best fighter in the world. I don't see Crawford having, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Crawford. I think Crawford is a terrific fighter, but I have never seen Crawford fighting a top 5 pound for pound fighter just like Errol Spence did tonight and put that kind of performance on the table. That's a signature win for Errol Spence, and Errol Spence deserves our recognition, not because he won, but the way he won. I mean, what he showed tonight was absolutely top level. It doesn't get better than that.
Richard, if you look at the welterweight class, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, and Sean Porter, they've all faced each other. But there's one guy they haven't, and that is Spence. That seems to be very peculiar. Based on tonight, do you think any of those guys, or anyone at 47 that's realistic, would be less or more willing to face Errol?
You watch and see with Errol Spence, we have a new era started today, the Errol Spence era, just like we had the Mayweather era. This is the Errol Spence era, and you're going to remember tonight here in Dallas when I said that the Errol Spence era has officially started today. And in order for that to be an era, you need to have opponents. That was what Floyd Mayweather had. He had opponents. He had lined up opponents, one after the other, and he beat one after the other. And some fighters, which pound for pound might be just as equally impressive or as equally as good as a Floyd Mayweather was. I'm thinking of a Andre Ward. He never had these opponents lined up, and as a result, he never really got where he could have gone because he didn't have the dance partners. Errol Spence, you just gave a list. Errol Spence has these dance partners, and he hasn't danced with either one of those yet. So I think he has a bright future as a star and as a pay-per-view star ahead of him.
Well, with that also said, I think activity is important. Is there any way he could fight twice more this year instead of just once more? Because that's kind of been an issue with Errol.
Well, when you are going to be, Ideally, yes, but ideally what I like to do as well, in order to maximize these pay-per-view promotions, just like we've done with Floyd, I'd like to have a little bit more time to activate in-store activations, to really make these events even bigger, and and so on. So I mean, it's difficult when you are a star at that level to fight 3 times. Let's be honest. Twice is really the way it is. But now what we have March, could it be that he's fighting twice more? Maybe.
I mean, given all the guys that Steve just lined up, do you think any of them can realistically give Errol a fight, given what you saw tonight?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question.
But there's always, in the end of the day, it's boxing, and you just never know what happens. And one might have the night of his life, and the other one might have a bit an off night. So you just never know. One punch can change it all. And from all of those guys he just listed, I could definitely give you some reasons why this guy, that guy, or this guy could win or should win, and so on. But after this performance tonight, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to bet against Errol Spence.
Richard, how confident are you that Pacquiao and Spence could be made next, like this year?
Well, I was in the ring when they asked him the question, and he didn't say yes. He didn't say no either. So I think that's good. It was sort of like a maybe. But as I said, it's probably not going to be easy to find opponents. I mean, I don't think you're going to find so many who wants to, when Errol Spence is going to ask who's going to want to fight me next, I think they're going to go like, I don't know.
Too good now, no one will want to fight. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that's definitely the case, but at the same time, he's going to be where the money is. I think he established himself tonight with Fox behind him, with Jerry Jones behind him, with this whole promotion. He established himself tonight as a pay-per-view star, as the pay-per-view star next to Manny Pacquiao in the 147-pound weight class. And so I think that people are going to want to fight him because he's going to be where the money is.
Spence versus Pacquiao, that's the torch pay-per-view fight.
Yeah, Spence wins, yes. And otherwise it might be the burning of the torch, so we don't know. I mean, look, Manny Pacquiao is still Manny Pacquiao, so that is not going to be, you can't bet against Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I mean, as a fan, I would love to see that fight. But I would love to see as well Manny Pacquiao against Keith Thurman. I would have no problem with that. I think that's a huge fight as well. Or Errol Spence against Keith Thurman, or Spence against Porter. Or, I mean, you can sort of like mix and match. That's what I said before, the depth of the division, and they all can fight each other.
Well, if you can get along with Bob Arum, you can make
Who said I don't?
It's not a statement. I said, if you get along
Yeah.
with Bob Arum, then you can expedite that fight.
Yeah, well, I think, there's a lot of good fights, and the fight with Crawford certainly, is one of them.
Bob's already said he's open to coming here and having Crawford Spence here at some point. Bob's already said this. Would that be something y'all would be open to at some point?
Well, as I said, I think there's so many fights like right now within the, within the PBC universe. I mean, look, we have these, whether we like it or not. I think these fights eventually will happen when they are so big that you're going to have a few million pay-per-view homes and things like that. I mean, maybe us as hardcore fight fans, we want to see right now, today, tomorrow, next month, Crawford against Spence. That fight will happen, but it doesn't have to happen next, because I think there are other great fights which can happen and which, frankly, are going to be easier to be put together.
Was that Keith Thurman calling, asking for next?
It was Manny Pacquiao. He said it's not a maybe.
No.
Do you not have to make Spence Crawford sooner than
Now they're calling you.
Errol might move up to 154 soon. A lot of people.
Yes, I mean, there's great fights there as well, but, I think he can still make 47, so I think that's the beauty with Errol Spence as well. They're going to be great fights for him at 54 as well. And who knows, maybe at 160 even. So, I mean, he's young, he's strong, he has, I think we all underestimated, at least I did. I knew he was strong and he was a difficult guy to beat, and his reach, but his kills today really just like blew me away, That was beautiful to watch, and you could just see he had like fun in there. He really enjoyed it.
Richard, if you had to guess realistically, who would be the next welterweight to step up and say, hey, I want Errol, and make the fight happen, go through the whole thing? Who do you think that will be?
I think there's I mean, this is like a bit overplay. I mean, Sean Porter, I'm sure, has no problem fighting Errol Spence, and nor does Keith Thurman. I mean, I know those guys. I promoted those guys for many, many years. So I know those guys are not afraid to fight Errol Spence. So whoever says different doesn't really know them. So they have no problem. I mean, they want to get paid. I mean, they're going to have to work out the right deal for whoever it is. But those fights are going to happen. I have no question about it. And you know, for Manny Pacquiao, I mean, Spence is a difficult fight, but Keith Thurman is not an easy fight either. It's a difficult fight too. So, you know, so it's not like all these fights are not easy, and you don't know who's going to win. So.
With this being the initial pay-per-view, what were your estimates for numbers on this?
You know, usually I would give you some sort of like an estimate, because what we've done in the past, like with HBO or with Showtime, we had actually fights we could compare it to. You know, based on like where do we stand on Wednesday, how many people have ordered it already, and then Thursday and then Friday and so on. So you sort of like see a trend. But since this was Fox's first pay-per-view, we don't have that comparison. We just know that it's going to be much bigger than we initially anticipated. And I think it is much bigger because the gate did very well. The movie theaters reported record numbers. The bars and restaurants, they did very well in all markets, in the urban markets, in the Anglo markets, and the Mexican markets. And you know, we saw the kind of ratings Fox was generating for their shoulder program. So now the question is, do these ratings of the shoulder programs, do all these commercials they ran, all these promotions they did, does that convert to buys? And that I can't tell you. And anybody who tells you on a Saturday night after the fight that they have some indications about what the numbers are, they're lying. Because we're not going to know. We're probably going to get some indications maybe next Wednesday, Thursday from like the digital platforms, and then the cables usually takes like a week to 10 days.
Richard, let me ask you this. Mikey Garcia was, you know, he fights for legacy. You know, he was attempted to become a 5-divisional champion. It's no secret he took the hardest way as far as fighting Spence. Do you feel that if he were to stay at 147 pounds, do you feel that he has better chances as far as being a Thurman, Pac-Man, Crawford, and you know, making his dream come true?
I think that's an excellent question, because you're right. He didn't just move up and sort of like handpick a title to say, oh, I'm a 5-division world title holder. He moved up to face and challenge the most difficult, most dangerous, undefeated fighter at 147 pounds. So I think for that alone, he deserves a tremendous amount of respect. And I think that's a question you're going to need to ask him. If he would ask, if Mikey would ask my advice, I would probably think he should go back down to 140, even if he can, 135, because I think there are fights that can be made, attractive fights in those weight classes that can be made as well, big fights, you know, and I think this is like one of those moments. He dared to be great. It didn't work, and now, you know, we move on. Radio Rahim, all good? You're very quiet tonight.
I only do it in front of the camera.
Okay, sorry. You want to say anything, Brit? She did just an unbelievable job. I mean, Tom and TGB, I mean, they're like by far the busiest team. Like from one weekend to the other, they like going to be on the road again, right? Exactly, it's amazing. No, great job, very well done. And it's not easy, you know, to have a card like this with all the logistics and all the people coming in. You saw the lineup of the world champions which were here. I mean, these fighters, everybody was here. Somebody's got to coordinate all of these details. There's so much work. So Brittany has an unbelievable staff and team and directs them, and you know, make sure that everything runs smooth. And I mean, whether if it's from the medicals and of course, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So really, let's give it up for her. Great job.
Yay, Brittany.
Any other questions? Where do we stand? Did anybody check on, are they here? Oh. Who, Spence, okay, perfect.
Oh, good. Spence is going to be coming in first.
Last fight was on Showtime pay-per-view, and
Yes.
Spence was on Fox pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Who would be more likely to get a Pacquiao Spence? Like what networks?
Well, you know, that's really a sort of like a question we have to discuss with PBC and with Al as well. I think, you know, there's some fights going to Showtime, some fights are going to Fox. There's so many. PBC is really the dominant player when it comes to boxing. You see the number of shows they do. I just talked about it. The number of champions they have. So there's definitely enough attractive matchups to satisfy the Fox audience, but satisfy the Showtime audience as well. And I think the same holds true for pay-per-views. You're going to see some of those pay-per-views on Showtime. Showtime has a tremendous pay-per-view staff. I mean, remember, we broke these records with Showtime. So Showtime pay-per-view knows what they're doing. They have a great team. And I think with Fox, you know, they have a great team, and it was the first one. I mean, what they say, first impressions matter. Whoa, what a first impression Fox made. I mean, the production, everything, the shoulder programming. I mean, it's just. I was there, the ring, the cameras, you know, these different cameras, and I'm sure I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure the experience to watch it at home. Fox knows how to put on big events. Fox puts on the Super Bowl, and to have a network which puts on the Super Bowl, to put on these super fights. I mean, how great for the sport is that. That is what elevates the sport. That is what makes boxing a mainstream sport again, when you have a free over-the-air network on board. Because you saw that like, you know, like the Ray Mancini was here and some of the other old greats. Those guys, they all talk on free network television. That is what made them, and now, that was like, I don't know, 30 years ago, and now we have it again with Fox. And with ESPN as well. I mean, ESPN does a great job as well. I mean, to have ESPN for boxing, the coverage they give, to have Fox, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the best time to be in boxing.
Richard, did we get the official numbers on the attendance check?
Yeah, do you have them? As I said, it looked like 47. Wow. Pretty good. Huh? 47,525.
Richard, one question for you. As far as the Fox network, I mean, right now, you know, college football, the NFL, I mean, it's key for Fox. Do you think that with, you know, August, July, I mean, August all the way to December, pretty much dominated by football, do you feel that boxing will take advantage in certain slots to get more exposure, especially from the, you know, the NFL fans and, you know, convert everything together?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's the beauty, that they have
I have
all the
completely
great
lowered
their
my
Fox,
arms
and they
'cause
can use
they
those
hurt.
as lead-ins, and so this is absolutely
Hi, guys.
perfect. I mean, that's what you see. That's
How'd you guys enjoy the
follow
fight?
that up with boxing. You have a great lead-in, so that is the beauty of Fox. Yeah. That's a disadvantage Showtime, for example, doesn't have. You know, there's boxing, and you need to hope that the sports fans are going to watch. But with Fox, if you have college football or other sports games and use that as a lead-in, and use the lead-in to promote, and you run commercials. By the way, for pay-per-view as well. Imagine if you can use those college games to promote a pay-per-view event.
Richard,
Yeah.
heavyweights, what do you think about a fight between F.A. Jebe and Joe Joyce?
Oh, I love it.
Like that.
I love it, but I'm not going to do that because I have both. It's not yet, but eventually, yes. But I mean, come on, they're two Olympians. Both of them are doing very well, and so eventually that's going to happen. But come on, I mean, you've got to wait a little bit.
All right.
And I have Tony Yoka as well, the Olympic gold medalist. So eventually, I'd like to do the final of the Olympics, which was Joyce and Yoka, and Yoka won the gold medal in Rio. I'd like to do that rematch in the pros, but
Time is it?
you
I
want
don't
to make
even
it
know.
at the point when there's going to be the money there.
FA looks scary good. How fast do you want to move him along, and what's the plan for that?
Well, you know, he has a great manager, and that's Shelly Finkel, and he's with Al Heyman as well. So Shelly has an amazing eye for talent, particularly in the heavyweight division. So we're going to, we're going to take our time, but step him up. I think he's going to be coming back on May 18th, and I think Joe Joyce is going to come back on May 18th as well. They're coming.
Oh,
Both
they're
fighters
coming.
are coming. Oh, great. Okay.
What?
Hey boys, come and help. No, my boys are
Oh,
coming.
steps. Okay, guys. Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia are
Young
coming
man.
right now. Sorry, I'm tired.
They always gonna be boys, right? Yeah. But the heavyweight, you're absolutely right. And you get some questions for the heavyweights. What a great time for the heavyweights. Haven't seen it like that. So there's some great current champions, but some great young talent coming up as well. They were trying to leave. But you can't escape Kelly Swanson. Or you example. You're going to get him back, right?
Hi, guys. I'm tired. At least I could just say hi to you guys.
Well, there he
Here we
is.
go.
The new pound for pound champion, Errol Spence. As I said, that fight tonight. Your size and your strength. You won it with your skills. That was the most impressive display of skills I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot of big fights and big fighters. That was really record breaking. You deserve to be crowned as pound for pound the best fighter in the world. That's what you are. And you have an unbelievable future ahead of you. Dallas, Texas, the US, the world can be happy to have somebody like you. And I said to the media before, your era has started. It's the Spence era. The Mayweather era has stopped, has ended. It's your time now. It's your era. And there's so many great fights for you out there. And let's go and get them all. Give it up for the IBF welterweight.
Thank everybody for being here. It's been a long training camp, been frustrating, just me. Everybody know I'm like a low-key guy, so I don't really, talk to a lot of media, or if I have a fight coming up, you're not gonna see me, or you might just see me at a fight and things like that, but, I'm not on the scene like that, and, it was kind of hard for me because it's something new, trying to sell these pay-per-view buys, because, you gotta be more outspoken. You got a lot of press obligations. You got to go out of town and things like that. That was kind of frustrating, especially in the last week of training camp when you trying to make weight and they got you, keep coming to the stadium, doing this, doing that.
Sorry, guys, my hand is so shaky.
Just got frustrated. So even at the press conference, I lashed out a lot. There's a lot of people, a lot of so-called experts were writing me off saying, Mikey's a smarter boxer, or I can't box, I can't do this, I can't do that. So. Tonight I just wanted to show that, I do have, boxing ability. I can box. I can use my jab. I do have high boxing IQ. It's not, it's a reason why, I was an Olympian and had over 30 international competitions and had success on the international level as an amateur. So I just wanted to prove that tonight. And, I think I did
Yay! Good job.
Were you surprised that he was able to take
Oops,
as much
sorry.
punishment as he did? And also, were you surprised that his brother did not stop the fight at some point?
That's Errol's daughter. Violet.
I did hear that they was planning on stopping the fight. His brother was, but Mikey wanted to keep going. Mikey has a lot of heart. I think he prided himself on being, a tough, Mexican fighter. They're born and bred just for big hearts. So he didn't want to stop us, and I was kind of surprised he was taking the shots. But then again, he's a veteran. He done sparred, since a little kid with top guys. Evan Valero and other guys. So I knew that he has good composure, has good fundamentals, and he has good ability. So his defense was on point. So a lot of shots, you know,
Oh,
start
God,
picking
sorry,
off. And I
guys.
think, you know,
So
later
sorry.
rounds, kind of went in, you know, survival mode and kept just doing enough just to, you know, stay in the fight a little bit.
Errol, good afternoon. Congratulations. This is your official coronation as the best boxer in the world, pay-per-view star going forward. How do you rate Mikey now as far as all the opponents that you have faced overall now in your professional career? What do you rate him as far as difficulty?
I feel like it wasn't difficult at all. You know, I got to credit my coach. You know, just, you know, great game plan. Like, you know, I told people that, you know, they were going to see a different side of me. You know, they were going to see a guy that, you know, did have high boxing IQ. I just felt insulted, you know, just throughout the whole training camp where people were saying that he was smarter than me, and I felt insulted that, you know, a lot of these reporters here was agreeing with him. And, you know, a lot of these, you know, Hall of Fame fighters like Sugar Ray Leonard and other guys was, you know, going for Mikey Garcia when, you know, his own ethnic group was going for him. And top guys like Marquez and other people like that, Marco Antonio Barrero was going for Mikey Garcia, but you got guys like Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson, you know, going for Mikey Garcia or saying Mikey Garcia was gonna win. So, you know, that kind of rubbed me wrong too. But, you know, I rate Mikey's still good, man. Mikey still can go down. He's a great fighter. He showed a lot of heart, you know, just for taking this fight and staying in the fight too. So, you know, it's nothing but respect for Mikey Garcia. You know, I just felt, you know, throughout the whole, you know, press tour, things like that, it was a little bit too arrogant.
Congratulations. The game plan was so simple, you know, it's almost like a 1-2 the entire night. When you first started to break him down, did you see that right away, or was it something that you worked with Derek on in training camp and kind of watching film, you know, came up with that?
It's something we worked on. You know, it just naturally, I had the longer reach, so, I mean, the fastest way to get to your opponent is with a straight punch, you know, so it's the jab. And that's my lead hand. So we wanted to work off the jab. I've been having a great jab, and we wanted to work off the jab and then break them down from there. So that's what we did. And a lot of times, like a lot of people don't understand, like with game, if you watch Mikey Garcia, like a lot of times he jump in with his punches, or he loads up with his right hand. So an easy step back with a jab can offset that. And that's something that, you know, we just break down and just learned in camp. And, you know, my coach made it to my attention. And, you know, we just followed the game plan and it worked out well.
Errol, was there anything about this fight that did concern you? Like you talked about Mikey being so confident or arrogant. Did it at all, you know, create any kind of doubts in you about what this fight was going to be?
It didn't concern me at all. It actually put a chip on my shoulder. If he wasn't so arrogant, he probably might have caught me off guard a little bit. But, you know, with his arrogance and, you know, his brother and, you know, his brothers and everybody else, and I watch everything on YouTube when I'm fighting my opponent, so when I see people, you know, saying different things and how he's gonna beat me easy, he has more power than me, he's stronger than me, he's faster than me, his footwork's better than me, his boxing IQ better than me, you know, he put a big chip on my shoulder. He made me really lock in training camp and, you know, do what I did, you know, basically, you know, outclass him.
And similarly, you get Manny Pacquiao to step in the ring, and basically he's a 10 years older version of Mikey Garcia. So can you honestly say, knowing what you know about your own skill, that would be a competitive, good fight?
Well, it's definitely a competitive fight. Like I said, Manny Pacquiao, he's blood and guts. So that'll definitely be a great fight. He's a future Hall of Famer, and he's on his way out, and I definitely give him that retirement check that he's been in.
Yeah. Mr. Spence, congratulations on your victory tonight. I'd like to know, I'm probably one of the few in here that gave Garcia the second and the third round. Coming into the fourth round, it seemed like you exhibited all that pissed offness that you shared, and then just went to destroying this guy. What was different coming out from the third round to the fourth round?
I'm just working off the game plan. I mean, we wanted to fill him out through the rounds and, you know, see how he was gonna come. And then the fourth round, I feel like I could get him, but I didn't get him the fourth round. So I, you know, went back to throwing my jab and picking him off. And then I tried to go get him again, and you know, I just couldn't get him out of there. So, you know, so You know, I tried to press on the gas, but you know, it wasn't a man down tonight.
In that seventh and eighth round, that's when you really tried to put it to him. It looked like he was really trying to dig deep with body punches.
Yeah, I was trying to stop him with either his corner or stop the fight, but they wasn't budging. I was like, damn.
Good fight out of you anyway, brother.
Errol right here. Congratulations, tremendous performance from you tonight. If you can't get Manny Pacquiao, and you know he says he's going to fight in July. I'm not sure if he'll fight you or somebody else.
I'm ready in July.
You're ready in July. Well, if you can't get Manny Pacquiao, and it's obviously it's going to be probably more his call necessarily.
We smoke Sean too.
Yeah.
I smoke Sean too.
Well, I was gonna ask you. So, if you can't get Manny next, is it Porter that you want? Is it Thurman?
Oh,
that you want?
definitely. I went in the ring and called out Sean Porter when he fought Danny Garcia. He said it was an easy fight to be made, and then next thing you know, he's fighting his mandatory. So I mean, Hugo Garcia is a tough fighter. He's a great Cuban fighter, but you know, he could have bypassed that and you know unified, but you know he didn't want that. So I fought Mikey Garcia, which you know turned out to be good. So you know, Manny Pacquiao don't want to fight, then you know I give him that smoke that he been asking for. Herman said we're not fighting 2020, so I don't know. Like Thurman.
Hey, Errol, Ricky said it's your time now. Just think back, you know, what you've gone through and to be now the best boxer in fighting, best pound for pound boxer in fighting. What's your thoughts on just where you've come and where you are now?
I'm just humble, man. It's been a lot of, you know, hard work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of times, you know, running by myself and, you know, just going to the gym with my dad. And, you know, for me, you know, I give, you know, my mom and my dad, you know, all the glory for me being up here because, you know, before, you know, I had any potential at all, you know, my dad would bring me to the gym, coming home from work, you know, tired, you know, driving trucks all night, and then coming home from work and taking me to the gym and, you know, basically taking me all over international tournaments and buying hotels and rental cars and, you know, investing his time and money and, you know, not being able to, you know, be with my other siblings or come to their events because, you know, he was focused on me. So, you know, it's been a lot of sacrifice from, you know, my family and, you know, my mother, my father, my siblings, you know, my coach and things like that. Back when I was an amateur and I wasn't making $1.
Top 10, that's a lot
so,
right
you
now.
know, it's very humbling and that's why I work so hard and I stay focused and stay dedicated because I know just as much time that I put in this and sacrifice, it's my family putting in much time and sacrifice a lot with me too.
Errol, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Hey, you said Mike Garcia was gonna win too.
I did.
I told you I watch everything.
You know what? I'm flattered that you care.
I watch everything. I told you that. I told Mikey that I watch anything.
I know. Ask this of Richard. The bottom line is the other PBC welterweights. You know who they are? Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, and Keith Thurman. They've all fought each other. They have not fought you. In your heart of hearts, based on tonight, do you think any of them will step up now? And what about the second part of the question, the specter of one Terrence Crawford?
I think they will because, you know, the money right now. Like I always say on Twitter, you always see me post tables turn. You know, a lot of these guys didn't want to fight when I was calling them out when they're 13-0. And you look at all them YouTube videos with Sean Porter saying he's not looking at me. You know, he never wanted to fight me. He wanted to fight Danny Garcia and things like that. But now, you know, everybody energy changed. And now, you know, guys want to fight me and things like that because, you know, I'm turning into the money man.
So what about Crawford?
We can get there too.
Hey, EJ, congratulations to you, Derek, Mr. Spence. How much fun were you having out there? Because it looked like you went to Orthodox for a second, if I'm not mistaken. I know you work on that in the gym. And was this the one-sided massacre you were looking for?
No, I was looking for the stoppage, but I mean, it didn't happen. But, you know, I was having fun in there. You know, I felt good, like I said, and, you know, just fighting at home and, you know, fighting in front of my family, friends, and, you know, my people from the city. You know, they was just, you know, it was great and just have everybody come out and just a warm welcome and, you know, coming out to, you know, local guys I grew up with, Yellow Bees and Trapper Freddy.
Of course.
And, you know, coming out with the Lancaster band, you know, so, you know, it was just great just, you know, getting that warm welcome in and just fighting in front of, you know, 40-some thousand plus of, you know, my fans.
Earl, So Valencia King, KKVI BCTV, congratulations on the win. You just kind of touched on my question about the community support, but during the week you actually got to stand face to face with your supporters. What was that interaction for you like?
It was great. You know, just standing face to face with them, and you know, I don't get mad. You know, especially with a lot of Spanish people from Dallas. You know, rep for Mikey Garcia and want Mikey Garcia to win because it's understandable. Like, I mean, you know, Mexicans have a lot of pride. You know, and they have a lot of pride in their flag and in their ethnicity. So. You know, I respect them for, going with their guy, just like me. You know, Andre Ward fighting Kovalev, I'm going for Andre Ward. I mean, like Terrence Crawford fighting Americano, I'm going for Terrence Crawford. I mean, I'm gonna go for my guy just like they gonna go for their guy. So, I respect them for that. And, they was never distasteful. Of course, sometimes I got booed and things like that, but it was never ugly or somebody saying something ugly, things like that. So, I have nothing but respect for them, and hopefully, I won them over as fans too.
And you may not consider yourself in a role model position, but you have young fighters that look up to you. What would you say to veterans that got out to the next level?
I just tell them never get complacent, because it's easy to get complacent, especially when you start earning money and start getting a lot of notoriety, and don't let stay with your feet on the ground, because. When you're that top amateur and people hyping you up and telling you this, and you win Prospect of the Year, and you beating people easily, you can always get complacent and stop training hard, or you get more money. Like Marvin Hagler said, he said it's hard to wake up when it's hard to wake up when when you're sleeping on silk sheets. On silk pajamas. So, you have to keep that chip, or you got to keep that underdog mentality, and that's what I always keep. Underdog mentality. Even if I know I'm gonna win, I know I'm gonna beat this guy easy. I always, psych myself out mentally where, I just find a reason, either on YouTube or anywhere. I find a reason why, I'm gonna train harder and focus and things like that. So that's why a lot of times when I'm fighting my opponent, I watch things that they say, and it just psychs me out.
I'm gonna try to get an interview with them, but I don't think they will.
Congratulations. My question is, out of all the fighters out there, regardless of affiliation, who do you think is the one that's going to give you the toughest challenge?
See, I have to think too. I don't think nobody. I mean, a lot of y'all thought, Mikey was going to give me a huge challenge. I mean, I thought I guess I was just a big brute or something. Just come forward, but I showed y'all a different element. And a different game plan. So, I mean, I really don't know. Like, people are like, is Mikey Garcia your hardest fight? I was like, on paper he is, but I really don't. You got to ask me after the fight, because I really don't know till I get in there with him. So, I don't know yet. I mean, the welterweight division is packed. I mean, you got Terrence Crawford, you got Sean Porter, you got Keith Thurman, you got guys like Ugas. You got a couple guys there, Danny Garcia. So, it's packed and it's a loaded division. So, I mean, any of the fights can be tough, especially if you're not on your A game. So, with me, my job is stay on my A game, stay focused, and whoever I fight next is gonna be in trouble because I'm keeping my weight down now too. So, I'm gonna have way more energy. I'm standing around 160.
Question for Derek. In what ways do you think Errol showed that he was the superior fighter, regardless of size and weight and strength?
It was with the jab, the way he controlled the tempo. It was the jab and the way that he controlled the tempo. I listened to a lot of the interviews, and I hear people say how intelligent he is and how good his timing is. And what I thought, and I said to myself, I said, just keep the jab in his face so he'll keep thinking. So he won't even get the opportunity to react.
Oh my God, my arms hurt.
Deal with the jab in his face. And that was just like
I
really
might
the key
have to
element,
disconnect because it's so shaky.
keep
I'm
him
sorry.
busy, you won't have time
I'll
to
stay
think.
as long as I
You're
can.
worried about getting away from the jab, and that's really basically what happened. I mean, the jab broke him down, and that was kind of it.
Errol, you were really loaded up at the end of the fight. The pressures of, was there any extra pressure in this being a pay-per-view fight, and the way you performed in the ring and the way you won put on your differently maybe than other fights?
There was no pressure. Like I said, people add more pressure on you than yourself if you allow it. So, You know, with me, you know, we train hard. I was, you know, sparring 15 rounds and can't go 30-second rest. Like I said, I sparred light heavyweights. You know, I rarely sparred welterweights. Like, it was hard for me to find somebody his size because, you know, a lot of those dudes, I stopped. You know, I beat them up real bad. So, you know, I need somebody, if I'm gonna hit them, they're gonna hit me back. And I need to get more intensity and thinking more than, you know, sparring the little guy. So, you know, it wasn't hard at all.
You know, and secondly, you noted the very pro-Mikey crowd in here. You know, with this being a hometown fight, I mean, is that a chip on your shoulder moving forward to make sure that, you know, the next time you fight here, it's a lot, you know, more of a pro Spence crowd than it is for the other guy?
I mean, it's like I answered before. I mean, I don't blame, you know, a lot of people, a lot of Spanish people and, you know, ethnicity. I mean, Texas, you know, we have a lot of Mexicans here, and like I said, Mexicans are, you know, very powerful. You know, they're proud of their ethnicity, and, you know, they represent, you know, their people. So, you know, I can't get mad because, you know, a Mexican American supporting another Mexican American. I mean, that's their ethnicity, so I can't get mad for the support.
And a lot of the Mexicans which were here tonight are going to be Spence fans.
Okay, Mikey Garcia is going to come up.
I love them.
His performance tonight. He gained the Mexican fans as well.
Errol, congrats again, man. Just like Richard just said, so does that make you the ultimate A-side, regardless of who you see? You're the new Bob Posh, you're the new shot caller?
I mean, I leave that up to, you know, my management. I can get 2 periods by A, B, whatever. Like, I come here to fight. It's when we fight, it's one ring, one ref. It's me and you. So, you know, you walking out first, me walking out last. I don't care. We both gonna get in the ring. We both gotta fight. So, I mean, of course, it's good to be an A side because, you know, there's more money on this side. So, for that aspect, yeah. But I mean, I think I'm the A side with a lot of these guys. Cause a lot of these guys can't. You know, they're not selling. They can't sell everything. Like even with at Frisco, you know, I sold out 15,000 plus. You know, and that was with, you know, somebody nobody knew. So I can't sell tickets. And I sold 15,000 plus by myself. So I mean, you know, this has been a great event. And like I said, you know, I think going on, I am the A side.
And you get the nail on the head. 15,000 at Frisco, 47 tonight.
Oh, I gotta put the phone down.
And this
I'll let you
performance
guys
on pay-per-view, do you think you're officially now the new face of boxing? And is that mantle that Floyd left vacant when he walked away officially yours? Or do you think you still need some work to do?
Oh no, I still got work to do. I still have a lot of work to do, man. Still, you know, a lot of opponents in my weight class. There's still belts out there. You know, so I still got a lot of work to do. I still got to put on, you know, more performances, more pay-per-view fights and things like that. So I'm not gonna say I'm the best out there right now.
Let's just hold on quickly. I want to ask Mikey. Mikey is here, so you guys can ask Mikey questions as well. If you can maybe wait, or you can sit down as well, so we can have both of these great warriors up here. As I said before, you know, Mikey Garcia is and always will be a 4-division world champion. He's a great warrior. Tonight he really showed balls. I've never seen anything like it. A true warrior. And as I said, at the end of the day, sometimes you reach for the stars, you dare to be great. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. But what is important that you try, because if you don't try, you won't get. And that's not just in boxing, that's in any walk of life. Welcome now to 4-division world champion, Mikey Garcia.
Hey guys, what a show. It was great, you know, great show. We had a lot of fans. You know, I appreciate all the love and support. You know, I fought hard. I tried to make history. I tried to move up in weight, and you know, I thought I was gonna be able to pull it off, and unfortunately it wasn't. Credit to Errol. He had a great game plan. You know, he used that jab, that distance. You know, he knew how to control that very well. A few moments that I tried to make adjustments, you know, he had something in return. So, you know, he showed, you know, great boxing. You know, I tried to do everything I could to make my adjustments, but, you know, just couldn't get it off. But I'm still very, very happy with the performance. You know, I tried my best. And you know, we worked hard for this. I really wanted to win it, and you know, it just feel a little bummed out I couldn't pull it off. But overall, you know, it was a great experience, great show. You know, Errol Spence is a terrific champion. You know, the best in the welterweight division. You know, very strong. And I'm just very happy that we were able to put this fight together. This is what boxing needs. You know, two of the best pound-for-pound fighters fighting each other. You know, and that doesn't come often. You know, it doesn't happen often. So I was very happy that we could put this together. I'm sure all the fans, you know, were watching in excitement, and you know, all the people watching on pay-per-view. I'm sure they all also got a good treat from it, because you know, it's not often that we get these type of fights, and that's what I want to give. You know, nothing but great fights, and I think we succeeded at that. So I just want to say thank you everybody, you know, for coming out. You know,
why are you disappointed?
Anything else, you know, we'll see what happens after this. But you know, I thought it was a good show. Thank you.
You want to have a seat to ask questions or ask Errol questions? Go ahead, yes, please.
Mikey, this is Jaime with All Access Elite Boxing. My question to you is, you know, you took this fight, as you stated, you fight for legacy. Your dream was to win 5 titles in 5 different divisions. You went and aimed straight at the best fighter, pound for pound, at 147. Do you foresee yourself in the future potentially fighting a Thurman, a Pacquiao, or even a Crawford, or even a Porter for that matter, in hopes of achieving your dream?
Well, I'll go back right now, talk to my dad, my brother, and make a decision. Right now, I don't have a decision made yet. I feel that you know, there are other names that I could possibly, you know, get a title from, and I could still pull it off, but it wasn't possible tonight. You know, we fought the best welterweight, you know, the baddest man in that division, and we just couldn't pull it off. But we'll go back and see what options we have. You know, I could stay at a lower weight class maybe, or maybe stay there and go after a different title.
Mikey, antes que nada, felicidades por el corazón enorme, no solamente tú, sino de toda tu familia. Un momento en donde tu esquina decía, ya no más. Sin embargo, el corazón de guerrero mexicano que tienes te hizo ir adelante. Te comento que las redes sociales estallaron en México y con los paisanos aquí en Estados Unidos. Hoy te respetan más a pesar de la derrota. ¿Qué significa que la raza te siga apoyando en las buenas y las malas?
Yo estuve peleando lo mejor que pude, tratando de sacar la pelea adelante. Él es muy buen peleador, tenía muy buena respuesta para todo lo que yo quise hacer. Y entonces hubo unos rounds donde me conectó bastante. Y pues sí, la esquina, para cuidar el peleador, pensó que a lo mejor era tiempo de parar la pelea. Le dije a mi hermano que no, yo estaba bien, no estaba lastimado. Me conectó golpes, pues es boxeo. Así es el boxeo, pero no me lastimó. Yo me sentía todavía con ganas de continuar. Y pues sí, el corazón, yo pensé que yo podía sacar esta pelea y conectar un golpe y lastimarlo y sacar la victoria. Desafortunadamente no se pudo. Estoy contento de que todo mi público me ha respaldado bien, se llenó de mucha gente que vino a apoyarme, y pues demostré que en realidad tengo para competir, para estar en estas divisiones, aunque no fue de mi parte, no fue de mi lado. A lo mejor hay otro campeonato que sí pueda conseguir más en el futuro. Ahorita no tengo planes todavía, pero eso lo veremos en un futuro cercano.
Rápidamente, me dijo recientemente Lomachenko, ya estaba para Robert y para ti. Me dice, si están en 135, si vuelven a esa división, lo estoy esperando. La pelea que mucha gente quiere.
Sí, en peso ligero es la pelea más interesante. En realidad una pelea con Lomachenko será lo más grande. Espero poder conseguirla. En realidad esa es una pelea muy atractiva. Voy a ver qué se puede hacer para negociar esa pelea, porque sí es una pelea que el público ha pedido bastante ya en par de años. Pero como digo, no tengo planes todavía, no sé en qué división voy a estar. Déjame hablo con mi papá, con mi hermano, y pronto les daremos una respuesta. Gracias.
Maybe quickly say that in English about the question about what he thinks about the Lomachenko.
The first question, about the fight itself. I showed a lot of heart, and a lot of people now respect me a lot more for the way I fought and for going against the best. And honestly, I said, I tried. I fought well. I fought hard. At one point, my brother mentioned, maybe it's time to call it a night or You know, he doesn't want to get me, you know, see me get hurt, and my dad also. But I wasn't hurt at any point like that. I got hit a couple. It's boxing, you know. I got hit with a couple shots. It's the way it is. But I said no. Let me continue. You know, let me fight through. I can still pull it off. I felt like I probably still could. I felt like I could have, you know, one punch and maybe turn it around. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. And then to the question about Lomachenko, I would love a fight with Lomachenko, but I haven't made a decision to come down to 135 just yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, let me sit back with my brother later and my dad, and we'll figure out what division I'm gonna come down. And if maybe I stay at 47, maybe I come down to 35. But at 35, that is the most interesting fight with Lomachenko, and I would love to take on that fight.
This is a question for Errol. This is World Breaker Fighting. My question is, pushing out all the politics and all the other things that are involved in boxing, what is it going to take to make you undisputed, to unify this division? A lot of fans are really clamoring for a unified 47.
You know, it's just gonna take everybody to cooperate. I mean, we got Porter. He said he wants to fight. Then we got Thurman, who has a belt. And then the most difficult fight to be made is the Terrence Crawford fight. So, you know, I don't know how that's gonna get made. I mean, it's for Bob to talk to, you know, my management, Al, and they come to agreement. But you know, I think that, I mean, the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd fight was made. So, you know, I think it'll happen.
Okay. Congratulations, Spence. And this question is for Mikey. Were you surprised by Spence's power?
Look, you know, he's got power. He does have power. I felt like I was blocking a lot of the shots early on, and I was trying to give him trouble by not landing shots. But then he started picking up the pace a lot more, and it was hard for me to keep up that defense. You know, so shots started coming through. Like I said, at no one point did he hurt me and stun me like that. But he does have power. I felt good though. I felt strong also. I felt like I could also hurt him possibly, but it just wasn't there. You know, he was slick and he avoided, you know, getting hit. And by the time I would try to come back, you know, he had more punches on top, and it was still a good fight. You know, he put up a very good fight.
Errol, I remember you told me in our interview that you were going to surprise people because you do box. You are a well-rounded fighter. Going back to that, Mikey, were you surprised by that he could actually have the angles? He had ring IQ. He was not just a brawler, he was also a boxer.
No, I wasn't surprised. You know, I know he has all those skills. Like I said before, you know, he reminds me of myself a lot, you know, because he does everything very well. Very good footwork, good speed, distance, timing, you know, he does it very well. And he had an answer to every adjustment that I tried to do. When I tried to put a little bit of pressure and walk forward, he took baby steps back, kept that distance, kept that jab out there, and it was working for him, you know. He used his distance and reach very effective. And when I was trying to box on the outside, he knew how far to walk forward. He didn't get too close. You know, he's very good. He reminds me of me. And, you know, he pulled off a great game plan, and he had answers for everything that I tried to do. It just wasn't, you know, it's not that I was surprised. I knew he was going to be able to do this, and he pulled it off very well.
We're going to let Errol Spence go. Did you have a question? You had a question for Spence? Okay, this is the last question for Spence here, and then we're going to let him go. Go ahead.
Hey, Errol, most people consider Terrence Crawford the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and you the best welterweight in the world. And most people were clamoring to see that fight. After a hell of a performance today, people are going to be clamoring for even more. Are you willing to go to Terrence Crawford, Amir Khan fight, to put more pressure on Terrence Crawford to make that fight happen next?
No.
All right, thank you.
Mikey, still the champ, baby. Mike, can you talk about, I mean, I know you wanted to fight about legacy.
Can you talk about the legacy, the other legacy that's at play in regards to, you know, forcing yourself to take on the toughest opponent and pressing yourself to, take the fight that may be uncomfortable, that your own, family is telling you not to. And we know that happens with promoters and television networks as well, of being your own boss.
Look, in order to leave a lasting impression, cement your name, you gotta go after the biggest challenges, the biggest fights. If I want to protect the record and just fight, contenders, just to make a quick paycheck and keep moving on and racking up wins, that's not gonna be something to be remembered. I don't want that. That's not something that I wanted. I made it a goal of mine after my return to fight the biggest fights, the biggest challenges, so that people can appreciate, who I am as a fighter. And that's why I took on this fight. Like I said, I wanted to establish that legacy. I was, trying to be great, and I think I just feel that that's what a real champion needs to be doing. People don't even like to fight. The greatest fights available.
Dare to be great. Dare to be great. That's what you did.
Hey, Mikey. You said that you saw something in Errol Spence in the Lamont Peterson fight that led you to believe that you could beat him. Was it different for you in the ring than what you thought that you saw? Did you see those same openings, or was it,
Look, I've always said, it's not that I saw something in his game plan or in his, holes in his game or anything like that. I just felt that I was better than him in everything that he did. And I tried to make the adjustments and try to work the way I believed I could. But he had an answer. Like I said, he had an answer to it too. Whenever I walked forward, he boxed on the outside, which I knew he could box. But I thought I was going to be able to do it quicker. And he just, had an answer, kept that distance. Because I didn't read, the southpaw stance always complicated things. I tried to make those adjustments, but I just couldn't do it. He showed me that he's a better fighter, keeping that distance. I thought I was going to be able to, get on the inside at times. Then I tried to box on the outside a couple of times, maybe counter. I landed maybe 1 or 2 counters on it, but it wasn't enough. He kept coming and at his distance. He wasn't getting too close to where now he's vulnerable. He knew what he was doing. I tried, I just couldn't. He's big and strong and kept coming with a lot of punches, and he just didn't give me the time. He had a good game plan.
Right here.
Hey, Mikey. Congratulations on a great effort. Strength and conditioning coach Matthew Shillstone once said, when a fighter moves up in weight, he should stay there and not come back down. Do you think moving back down to lightweight to 135 would be in your best interest physically?
Look, even though I moved up in weight, I never ballooned up too heavy. I never went, got too big with muscle mass or anything like that. We just added a little bit of muscle mass so that I could be at welterweight for this fight. But even weighing in, I was at 45 and a half. I wasn't a big welterweight. I feel I can come back down to the lower divisions and
Exactly.
great.
You gotta take chances, man. You can't be complacent. You can't be
If
great.
I decided to
Stay
come down to the lower weight class, I could perform just as effective.
Mikey, quick question. Was there any time during the fight, as Errol is starting to really come on, that you said to yourself, boy, I'm really not a welterweight?
No. It wasn't never that moment, or that thought. He just had a lot of endurance, and then he, that strength, the size, obviously, was giving me trouble. But I tried to box during those moments. I tried to stay on the outside when he did come on the attack, and I was blocking a lot. I was trying to block a lot of the punches, trying to wait for that opening, but it just wasn't there. Whenever I did let my hands go, after he was letting his hands go, he dug down right underneath, and I wasn't able to catch him. And he just fought a very good fight. But I felt strong. I felt good. I just couldn't pull it off.
Mikey, Eric Mora de Telemundo, antes de la pelea platicamos y nos decías que en algún momento tu familiares, tu entrenador, te decían, sabes que no pelees contra él.
Sí.
En ese momento y cuando estabas arriba del ring, ¿te pasó eso por la mente? ¿Te arrepientes de haberte subido al ring, de haber sacado una derrota? ¿Y qué te llevas de esta pelea?
No, mira, no me arrepiento de nada, aunque pues por obvias razones muchos decían que no tomara esta pelea. Pero el que pues no arriesga no gana mucha gloria. Yo arriesgué para tratar de conseguir gloria, para tratar de dejar mi nombre, hacer historia, y pues desafortunadamente no fue de mi lado, no fue de mi parte. En la pelea yo estaba pues dispuesto a pelear, a eso venimos. En un momento en el round estaba preguntando que cómo me sentía, que si a lo mejor estaba bien que la parara porque no quería que fuera golpeado. un round que atacó bastante Errol Spence, recibió golpes y preguntó a mi hermano, oye, no quiero que recibas tantos golpes, la voy a parar. Dije, no, déjame, te enseño que todavía puedo, nomás no me la pares. Y peleé el siguiente round, hice un poquito mejor y me dejaron continuar mi pelea. Yo no quería que me pararan la pelea porque no estaba lastimado de esa manera, pero nunca corrió la idea de que a lo mejor pues tenía que haberles hecho caso. No, yo estoy contento con que vinimos a hacer lo que quería yo hacer, no se pudo, pero hice todo en parte, peleé bien, peleé como un guerrero que soy, vine a enseñarles que yo traté de ganar, no se pudo, ni modo.
Mikey, you know me. I've been following you since you were 18-0. I've been writing boxing for 40 years for Mexican newspapers. I know your brother. And every time I used to run into your brother and Juarez, I used to beg him, do not let him fight at welter. All due respect. One of the reasons nobody mentions that, yeah, Errol looked good because he's a welterweight. You look, that's not your weight, my opinion, you look sluggish because of the extra weight. That's very easy. You go back to 135, I used to tell you, Brother Robert, tell him to clean out 135. That the main reason that nobody mentions that, you look sluggish because you cannot carry that extra weight. My humble opinion.
No, gracias.
Did I tell you many times, Robert?
Look, and I think you know, his size also, you know, imposing that size on me was tiring me out little by little, and that's also why I felt a little sluggish at times. It just wasn't. Thank you.
Felicidades, Mikey. Soy Herrera por Veravisión. Sin lugar a dudas, has ganado el respeto de todos los boxeadores previamente y aún ahorita más por completar las 12 rondas en esta pelea. Y habían dicho que esta pelea iba a ser una victoria para ambos boxeadores, like a win-win situation. ¿Y tú qué opinas de eso?
Mira, yo estoy contento con la presentación que hice. Pues hice todo lo posible que yo podía, pero no fue suficiente. Aunque no nos tocó llevarnos la victoria, en realidad pienso que el público puede agradecer que dimos una buena pelea. Una pelea que pues no sucede muy seguido en el boxeo, donde dos campeones invictos, de lo mejor libra por libra, se enfrentan. No es muy seguido, muy común que se puede lograr eso, y yo pude ser parte de este evento. Es algo que pienso que el público agradece, y en realidad, pues mira, para un ligero, que soy campeón ligero, de subirme a welter, intenté hacer cosas grandes. No es fácil, no fue de mi parte.
Right here, Mikey, right here, brother. What around the 9th, 10th round, I feel like you started fighting him more on the inside. Why was that? Did you feel that you were having more success in there?
No, we were on the outside, like I said, a couple rounds, and he was dictating that pace and that aggression, you know, but at a good distance for him, and it was just giving me more trouble. And so at times we tried to get on the inside a little bit. Maybe I was thinking maybe I could land a punch in between his combinations, and he was letting his hands go a lot to the body and the head, you know, he was mixing it up, but I still felt that maybe on the inside I could catch him, you know, maybe I could catch him. I felt like I could have, you know, that opportunity, because he was, you know, getting a little open at times, and I tried and I landed a couple shots, but it just wasn't enough. I felt like maybe if I stay on the inside, I would have a little more opportunity. I risk a lot more too, but I mean, if I don't do that, then I have, you know, zero chance. So that's why we wanted to fight on the inside a little bit, and I tried. It just couldn't do it.
When your brother, in between the rounds, said that, hey, maybe, you know, we should get out of here, what? I guess speak about like the fire it brought to you. I mean, you never heard that before. You know, that's something very foreign in your corner.
Well, it's foreign, and nothing like that had ever been mentioned in my corner. But you know, they're looking for the best, you know, for their fighter, not just as family, but you know, my brother has a lot of experience. My dad has a lot of experience in, you know, working in corners, and they always look out for their fighters' health and safety. And you know, so there was concern. You know, hey, you're getting hit a lot. You know, we don't want you getting hurt. And I told him, no, let me show you that I can still do it. You know, I took a round off, and it just you know, let me show you I can come back. And I did. I came back the next round, trying to do a little bit better. It just wasn't enough.
Last question, Dan.
If you could speak to, I heard what Mikey said about you in the corner and maybe the possibility of stopping the fight. Just in your words, in your perspective, how close were you to stopping the fight, and what were you seeing that made you decide that maybe it was time to call it off, and what made you allow him to continue the fight? Because obviously you got the final call.
I wasn't that close to stopping it because it wasn't, you know, he didn't get dropped or get hurt where it was, you know, it was right for me to do it. It was more about just, you know, Errol just throwing, even though Mikey was blocking, Mikey wasn't landing much. Especially, I don't know which round it was, but it was round where it was just too much. And my dad told us, "What are you guys waiting for?" My son also said, "No, look, he's not hurt," because we're talking in the corner, and my son says, "He's not hurt. Just let him go through the rounds." And when we talk to Mikey, Mike says, "No, let me continue doing the rounds. He's not hurting me. He's hitting me, but I'm not being hurt. Let me just continue finish, you know, the fight, go 12 rounds." That's what we did. And, you know, like he says, you know, he was never hurt. He just, you know, got hit at rounds where he was getting hit more than what we've ever seen, but not enough to where he got dropped or was really badly hurt.
All right, thank you all, and give it up for the 4th edition.
All right, guys, I gotta get to work now. Thanks for staying with me. Sorry I couldn't hold my arm up, but it's good fight night, guys. All right, thank you. I appreciate for staying with me, and thank you for liking and continue. I'll be putting more stuff up.